Hi everybody, this is Urena, Serenity Relations with Urena, here for the conversation you've all been waiting for. Polyamorous relationships. We're going to talk about it. We're going to take a dive about it. We only got 15 minutes. We're going to get right to it. And hopefully you can get some answers, some questions answered, or just find out more about it. So first I want to have my guests introduce themselves. Start with Leslie.
Hi, I'm Leslie, and I am Polly.
Hi, I'm Honey Marie, and I am Polly.
Hi, I'm Jamal Dute, and I'm Polly.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Stubbs. I'm 100% heterosexual. Have no idea what polyism is.
And I'm Urena. I'm heterosexual, but I don't mind having some fun with the loved one of my choice. That's a man. There we go. There we go. So I want to first just give a brief, make sure you understand that when we're talking about polyamorous relationships, we're not talking about those drunken nights when you and your loved one say, hey, let's invite the bartender home or to the hotel and have a threesome or a foursome. All right, so Jamal, can you define what the many types of polyamorous relationships are?
Sure. Well, polyamory can be broken into many categories, but there are probably more than I'm even going to name today. But the ones that we typically think about when we think about polyamorous relationships, we're talking about first of all, ethical non-monogamy or consensual non-monogamy. Some of those are hierarchical, where there is a primary partnership or nesting partners, and then you get a third that comes in, and that's hierarchical because the third person doesn't have that much say-so in the relationship. They don't have any veto power. We kind of set the rules, and they kind of go along with it. Then there's a non-hierarchical polyamory, where all the partners are equal. We all have the same say-so, and it's more of an egalitarian type of relationship. Other types of poly that you may see is under the ethical non-monogamy is couples that have external partners to the relationship. Her and I could be primary partners, but then there is another partner out there that she may be with that I have nothing to do with, more like a V type of poly relationship.
Okay.
So there are many variations out there. You're going to go on the internet and find that there's more. There's no limit to how you can be polyamorous, but those are the ones that we typically think of as the ones that we'll talk about in therapy or that are more set up and organized into a consensual, committed relationship.
Okay, good stuff. Good stuff. So I wanted to talk about, before I move on, Leslie, did you have anything you want to add to that?
I definitely agree with everything that Dr. Dute is saying. And I also wanted to add that, what's real popular right now is kitchen table poly. And, we see it a lot with the Smith family. And the reason I bring it up is because I look at it as it's just grown folks being grown. We're all sitting at the table. We're all talking about the agreements that we want to have. And then we keep it moving, living the relationship and upholding those agreements. And the other side of it, which is what was kind of touched on with cheating. And, that is from the professional standards unethical because, there's a lot of harm that can be created in those situations. But there are poly relationships where they're called don't ask, don't tell. And you make that agreement ahead of time and you say, I'm going to go out, and that partner will go out and do what they need to do and come back home and it's like nothing. But the other partner knows that that's what's going on. And in those sort of relationships, I think because the terms are always changing, it's parallel poly. And that's basically, I don't want nothing to do with your partner. You don't want nothing to do with my partner, but we're going to be in a relationship together. And so bringing it back to kitchen table, that's something that you mentioned about the egalitarian polyamory, the non-hierarchical. And that's kind of my jam because I'm like, we're all grown. We can all sit down at the table together.
Got it. So let's talk about if someone is interested in a polyamorous relationship, or just want to get more information about it to see if it's for them, or wants to try it out to see if it's for them. What are some tips that they can take in order to see if that's a good fit for them? We've just heard from Jamal and his take. Does anybody else have any other opinions about how a
Like you
couple
ready to
I
say
really
or a
do.
person
I
can.
really do.
Here we go. I love it.
And I'll spill a little tea for y'all. So I just got out of a pretty long poly relationship. And what I learned from that experience is, a lot of people are on these sites that are poly friendly, that talk about, non-monogamous relationships. And that's wonderful. But they're not really learning about what it is that they want personally and how they want to represent themselves in a relationship. And so I definitely recommend anybody that's interested in getting into the poly world, dipping a toe, whatever it is, please do a little research. Read some books. There are some amazing books out there for therapists, for just, the people running around, the lay people that will inform you and sort of help you figure out the kind of relationship you want to have before you just jump right in to a non-monogamous relationship, because for the most part we are conditioned societally to be in monogamous relationships, and that switch can be different. And I'm not saying there's not anyone out here who doesn't have that believes in monogamy. I'm just saying that I definitely challenge you to look up those resources before you really jump into it, and let the person that you're romantically interested in, hey, I'm new to poly, do you have any resources? Like, how do we make this happen? Because the agreements are gonna be broken, guaranteed. They're guaranteed gonna be broken. And I don't say that to doom and gloom it. I say that to bring more strength to the situation of, if they are gonna be broken, then how can you move forward from them?
When she asked what type of steps could a person take or a couple take to kind of transition into poly, or to see whether or not it's for them, I kind of feel like upon hearing the definitions of what polyism is, if I'm saying that okay, polyism, is that okay?
It's a new term.
Okay. I want to make sure I'm not misspeaking, but I kind of feel like it's the same as a person who is from 20 years old to 40 years old. I'm currently 42 years old, and you've been telling lies with the fellas. You've met a couple women, and you've been flexing and talking about you have more than you have. You've always had 2 or 3 women that you're messing with, and now you're asking about polyism, where you've on the low been doing it your whole life. So it's kind of like you acting and pretending your whole life to be someone that you're not, and you're gonna explore, well, what would it feel like for me to be an actor? Well, really, if you look at your life, you've been telling lies and acting your whole life. And so basically just do what you've been doing. So when you transition over into polyism, you really finna go into an area that you low-key familiar with. Because I'm 42. I've never had one woman from 18. From 18 to about 35. I've never ever just talked to one woman. So I might be the king of polyism and don't even know it. You know what I mean? Don't even know it. So yeah.
I love it, honey. I felt like you wanted to say something.
Not really. I mean,
okay.
I don't think I naturally took any steps into it. I think as a child, I always felt like people get married, you sleep with that one person all your life. I was like, how is that possible? Because when you were younger and dating, you dated multiple people and probably slept with multiple people then. So I've always liked the idea of loving more than one person. I really didn't know really what it was or how to form a relationship until later on in life, when I became more comfortable with my sexuality.
Gotcha.
I'm going to answer it a little more direct, in the sense of the first thing, I think anybody who's considering this ethically, and I say ethically because we've heard versions of people doing it unethically, like I've been doing it all my life, but no one knew, or I didn't even know that's what it was called, because it's just naming convention. The first thing I think you have to ask yourself is why? Why do I want to be poly? And I think you're going to get different answers to that. Right. There are the garden variety of people out there who just say, listen, I want multiple sex partners. And there's no shame in that if that's what you want. I think some people are philosophically poly. Like I can say, to the brother's point, since I was a young man, the idea of just having one person meet all my needs just didn't fit who I was as a person. You know, there were things that I needed that one person could not provide me. And in a typical monogamous situation, that's game, set, match. You're stuck with that. And so resentment and all those other things set in because you're in this long-term relationship that you know is not really fulfilling all your needs. So I think that's what we get to stepping out thing from. So why? Why do you want to be poly? Some people, it's philosophical who they are, is what they believe. Some people, it's just they don't like the structure of things are in a monogamous situation. They want to change it. So if you can get someone who shares your why, or at least you can agree with their why, I think you can start the process of exploring a more open relationship.
And what would that look like?
I think it's
Like a random night?
no, it's like this right here. It really starts with a conversation.
Yeah.
But it requires a certain degree of vulnerability and courage. Because you go on a lot of dating sites and you hear people saying, just be honest. Well, do you really mean that? Do you really mean that? Because if I really was to be honest, I'm going to tell you, I kind of don't want to just be with you. But then for most people, most women on dating, that's a game. That's a game changer. That's it. Game, set, match. So if you want to be honest, ethical, consensual, then I'm going to tell you the truth. I like you. I'm even interested in dating you. But I'm also interested in dating her or him too. So it starts with honesty, vulnerability. And I know that those two words are not for everybody, honesty and vulnerability. But if it's something that you believe in, honesty and vulnerability, then step forward with that and see what happens. You're going to get some no's.
Yeah.
You're going to get some no's. I mean, hell, Raina, I stepped to you, didn't I?
You did. You did.
I got a big ass no.
No.
But I ain't done with you yet.
I love it.
I'm
I
just
love
saying,
it.
we're open and honest, right?
Right, absolutely.
So we gonna keep pushing.
We're going to keep pushing.
Especially with that dress you got on.
Fortitude.
But I think it starts with the why.
Okay.
So you
Okay.
looked up.
Yeah.
You found out that it was an easy, breezy thing when we at the bar.
Right.
Yeah, I was
we
like,
kinda,
I want to be poly. You
right.
was like, you want to be
It was a
poly.
conversation. We started
And we
dating.
didn't know.
And we didn't know that each
wow.
other had the
No.
same.
We always
philosophy.
had the desire in that. And
Nice.
Like I said earlier, I didn't openly just tell people that I'm poly or, and he's always wanted to experience it.
Nice.
And to always identify as poly. And here it is.
Right. And we just had the
It was
courage
just
one day
another
sitting at a
spot.
bar
At Malone's.
to just at Malone, right? Plug Malone. Just to come out and say it.
That's
And
not
it
your
was
spot.
a Me Too situation. It's like, get out of here, Me Too. And from there, the rest was easy. Easier because poly is still difficult,
It's a lot of
even
work.
if it's consensual,
It's a lot of work.
because there's a lot of attachment concerns that come into play.
And it's such a loaded type relationship to discuss and to like dive into. So I know I'm gonna have to do more. But thank you so much, honey, for everybody for sharing that. I want to dive into, Jamal, you said something about the difficulties. So I want to dive in. Anyone else can take a stab too into talking about more of those difficulties that can arise and maybe how people can navigate those difficulties.
I mean, I think the difficulties really don't start with poly. I think it starts with the word relationships. So let it be a heterosexual relationship. I mean, I'm a full-blown therapist, right? And my practice is 99% heterosexual monogamous people who come in there paying for therapy because things have gone awry. Shit has gone off key, right?
Right.
And the things that happen in heterosexual monogamous relationships equal the things that will happen in poly. Attachment injuries, infidelity, broken trust, trauma wounds. So you're gonna have that same issue. I think the thing that makes poly a little trickier is it's time 2 or 3 or whatever your poly number is.
Right.
Okay.
So you have to work with more multiples, and you have to deal with issues that maybe monogamous couples deal with that make them secure, like marriage. If you in a polycule, you can only marry technically one of them, right? And so what happens to the partner who's the unmarried partner? There's issues like children. One partner becomes impregnated, and the other one is not. There's their stronger connection. So you have to deal with attachment issues.
Yeah.
Attachment issues. But attachment issues happen in monogamous relationships too.
Yeah.
So it's how do you navigate attachment to get to a place of secure attachment? And I don't think that's different. I think it's in poly, it's multiplied.
Yeah,
It's multiplied.
gotcha. Anyone else want to talk about it?
Definitely. So I also would say addressing how you deal with jealousy. because that right there, a lot of times we don't even really recognize that what we're experiencing is jealousy. And a lot of us don't even really know what jealousy is. Brene Brown, in all her research, she's really good about vulnerability. And so I want to bring jealousy to the stand with vulnerability and recognize the courage it takes to tell your partner, for instance, to tell your partner, oh, you're about to go on a date with someone else because, you know, y'all are poly, and I got to sit at home and I got to watch TV while you're out having fun. And the jealousy that can come into those moments. So the vulnerability part of it is the courage to talk about those things, to have that conversation and not let it linger. Because if it's getting lingered, it's just going to get bigger, 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 and then it's going to blow up. And then here we are back at the beginning out on the field again. And that may be what some people are looking for. It may not be, I'm not sure. But I definitely say, you know, from what Dr. Dute was saying was to really ask yourself why. Why do you want to be in multiple relationships? And for some people, jealousy tends to be that thing. I can't do it. I've had lots of people come to me and say, I don't know how you can do poly because I can't handle being in a relationship with someone else. I can't handle the thought of my partner experiencing someone else sexually. And there's another component to it. And so from the poly world, it's compersion, the experience of joy that your partner is able to meet all of their needs sexually, emotionally, financially, and taking joy in that. And that can be one of the remedies to those moments where you are sitting at the house and you're like, dang, I'm lonely right now and my partner is out having a good time. Well, how about that? They are having a good time. So taking that joy in it.
Raina, I see you smirking.
Let me tell you, honey. Okay, so my question is for honey. I know you want to say something. Okay, you say it, then I'm gonna ask this question because my question is for you as a woman. But go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Well, no, I was just saying, I know when we first started dating, we used to always date together, and I struggle with like, you gonna go without me.
And when you say date together, you mean
like we would
third?
go and meet the potential together.
Okay.
And then we had to eventually start meeting the potential separately. It depends on how we were looking for someone. And I struggled. I was like, you going? I can't go? And so we had to figure out, how is this going to work? And it's much easier now, but I was like, I want to call. I want to text. What you doing? Where you at? How long you going to be? Da-da-da. But we had to set some type of, it's not rules about it. It was, we had to communicate. And I needed that extra communication from him. I want to know when you got there, how was it going, or send me a text and say, it's good, it's okay, it's bad, send me a picture of her, let me see what she looked like. You know, I was, but I found that I needed extra communication in order to calm my nerves. But now he goes, and I'm like, okay, good. Okay. Go with it.
So it was a growing process for you.
It's definitely a growing process. It's definitely growing pains. And I definitely had to learn, and still am learning, how to have compersion. But I do like to see when he's happy.
And which leads into my question, because my question for you is how do you manage those emotions in the sexual realm? Let's say he's having sex with someone else, but you're there, or receiving a blowjob and you're there, or whatever. How do you not feel some kind of way, especially if he moans in a way that he never moaned with you, or if he's smacking her ass, but then smack her yours
in a way that he hasn't, because she's different. I mean, I'm gonna moan too because I'm gonna get my turn too. So it's kind of fun. It's more than.
But how do you manage the emotion?
But it doesn't bother me.
Okay,
that doesn't bother me.
Well, let me speak to that too, because. Really what you're talking about is a deeper issue. And it's an issue, like I said, we experience in all relationships. What is happening is your attachment style is being exposed. Right. Your attachment insecurities are being exposed. And that's going to happen in a poly relationship or monogamous relationship. But in monogamy, since it's the golden standard of how this country runs, we have fake securities that we put in place in order to give people that sense of security, i.e. marriage. So if you marry somebody, it's like, oh, well, this is my wife. We got a contract. They can't just break it. So you get artificial security. where there's none. But if you take away that security and you ask yourself, how do you feel now? Most people would tell you they feel some degree of insecurity. Like when you're dating, there's no security in dating. None. I mean, I can date you today and date somebody else tomorrow. So we can put an artificial security in there and say, will you marry me? Or can we go serious? Or can you give me a ring? Or can we share accounts? There's a lot of ways to build artificial security when insecurity is there. So if in that situation, when you're watching your partner enjoy themselves and you're having this compersion type moment and you start to feel some kind of way, ask yourself, what insecurity issues are being triggered for me? Now, granted, I'm not going to say poly's for everybody. I'm not going to say that. But if you choose, you get past the why and you find those things are indicators. They're not something to run away from. Jealousy is not something to run away from. They're feelings. We all have them. You have to address them. I mean, if you made a chart and you said monogamy on this side and poly people on this side and said, what kind of things have you encountered to say in your monogamous relationship that caused you to break up since you had multiple? What happened? What would you say? What was some of the main factors that caused you to have multiples? Hate to put you on the spot.
That's okay. Some of the main factors that caused me to have multiple women.
Yep.
I think it's just a lack of satisfaction with one. One person just couldn't scratch all the places that I itched.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So like I need someone that's really, really spiritual. But I need someone that's really, really a freak. She's spiritual, but she ain't freaky like that. She ain't spiritual, but she a freak. This chick right here, she really, really can suck dick good. Neither one of them can. So now I go to church over here, I get the freak, and then I get my dick sucked, and then I go have lunch over here. So I'm straight.
I love it.
So now if you had all four of them, you have a happy union. You might have to convert you to poly after this.
Sounds like
I'm currently in a happy, committed relationship because this sister wears the woman that I'm currently with. She wears those hats. Okay. You know what I mean? Somehow she's been able to be versatile enough to wear several hats, and I say that sincerely. I couldn't believe it. You know what I mean? Because I'm rough, man. But yeah, the sister and I have been doing really, really well, man. So yeah, man. But when I hear the breakdown, I've definitely been poly for probably the last 15, 20 years.
Now, if she came to you 5 years later down the line and said, Jonathan, can Rick join us in the bedroom? What you gonna say?
My current woman?
Yeah.
If my current woman came 5 years later and said, can somebody join us in the bedroom?
Yeah. Rick.
If Rick can join us in the bedroom.
Not Lisa.
Yeah.
Rick.
Yeah. Okay. If I'm honest, because of how I am, her mouth would never say nothing like that. Okay. That's a question that you ask if you really don't know the answer to it and you're interested in it. Because of how I am with her, she would never even come to me with that.
Oh, that's your ego talking.
No, she really, I am a certain way. It's almost like you going to Barack Obama and saying, hey, you want to look at this new porn book? You see how this guy is. And it wouldn't make any sense for me to come to him with that. Right. So because of how I am,
she wouldn't even
there's no way. There's no way that would even form her mind to come. Now, I can't say what she would sneak and do, but there's no way that there's something that I'm giving off. There's nothing that I'm giving off that will make her think, let me ask him that. You follow what I'm saying? There's no way. Yeah, there's no way.
Now, I'm gonna let y'all know the difference here. I hear what he's saying. He's trying to say like, there's no way she would come to me with that. That don't mean that she don't have it though.
That's why I said I don't know what you do in secret. Right.
She would just either be oppressed or repressed, or she would have to do it on the down low. But when we get into this structure, and I know this is a male-dominated society, we can put people in a box really easy. That don't mean that people don't have that. Like, listen, I'll be honest with you. I didn't know I was poly per se until I started learning about it. I just knew I had this desire to be with other people. And it wasn't always sexually. Sometimes it was just emotional. I mean, you can be poly emotionally. Like, I have my primary partner who I have sex with and all that. We share everything. But I have these really, really close girlfriends, you know, that I'm sharing emotional connection with. You know, that other person can be that as well. And even those relationships I've seen cause conflict in therapy where the person is like, you too close to her. It's an attachment there,
Attachment.
right? I mean, because you're not doing anything with them, but you're too close to her. What is your partner telling you when they say that? They're telling you, I'm insecure about something,
Yes.
and we need, or I need you to honor our contract,
Yes.
which most of the time with most couples is unwritten. We learn about it as we go.
It sounds, what I'm hearing is that communication and pretty much being willing to be open and vulnerable is the key to trying to make a polyamorous relationship work, if that's the route that you want to go. Tell me, and correct me if I'm wrong.
I would add also honesty and courage.
Okay.
That's really.
Okay. You want to add anything, Leslie, or anybody else to what I said? Leslie, as our resident poly therapist. That sound about right?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely say the courage part is a huge component to it, because a lot of the times I've just see it over and over again. Folks trying to prove themselves, folks not feeling worthy enough to love themselves or love other people. And I mean, just to see it over and over again, I just keep wondering the kind of society that we want to keep making. Is it one where everyone's running around feeling like they need to prove themselves? Or is it one where everyone's running around feeling loved and whole in who they are and how they want to present themselves in relationships, in life, in love? And, you know, poly is just kind of one aspect of it. But I mean, if we want to take it to the spiritual plane, God doesn't choose to love, so why should we?
I like that.
You want to say something? Anybody else want to say anything? So we can go on and on. I'm seeing that I'm going to have to do some more vlogs, segments about polyamorous relationship. It's so much to try to pack in. But I do want your takeaway to be that for the most part, communication, courage, vulnerability, being honest. Those are some of the things to, even if you're interested in trying it, to seeing if it's something for you, to wanting to introduce it to your partner, to see if it's something that works for the both of you. Really having that dialogue about what that can look like. I recommend a therapist who is poly-friendly, meaning a therapist that has experience in polyamorous relationships. I think that that's important. Or one that's at least able to help you navigate those waters without being strictly in the monogamous lens. I do think that's something that's important to help you navigate those polyamorous waters. Anybody want to add anything else before we close today?
I think you summed it up nice.
I think I said, okay.
I mean, I do want to, I'll definitely add the last part is boundaries, recognizing your own boundaries, because they are for you. They're not really for other people, they're for you. And when you recognize your boundaries, then you can better navigate any waters.
All right. So thank you so much for watching our vlog. I appreciate your support and hope that you got some valuable information from it. If you need more information, feel free to send me a message. If you want to get in touch with anyone, you can send me a message. I can put you in touch if I can. And just want to give you opportunity if anyone wants to say anything about what they're doing or into really briefly, feel free. Anybody?